Hello viewers, I'm SB and welcome back to Citizen Sleeper, where today we're just waiting. We're just waiting for Lem to return so we can help that whole situation out. And so there's not really anything of value for us to do. I am kind of curious how this is gonna play out as well, and it is worth noting that the Lem and Mina thing is resolving on the same day as that. Very, very interesting. I guess let's push along this front, because otherwise I don't know how we're gonna know what happened to Sabine. God, I cannot get a positive outcome on this no matter what dice I put into it. There we go, there's a 6. That'll make it happen. You have to give me the scrap component eventually. Alright, let's see. Yep, neutral again. That's a shame, because we're still like one scrap component short of being able to just buy ourselves back to 5 dice. So what happens now? This time you meet inside Rabia's office, although now that you've seen it, office seems like the wrong term. You find her standing in an almost bare, shadowy unit, midway through a sequence of stretches. There are 2 low stools and a terminal in the corner, but it seems that most of the space is taken up by a heavy punching bag, rubber matting, and a stack of weights. When Rabia turns to greet you, you realize she's missing an arm. The prosthetic she usually wears is set in a cradle near the terminal, a web of colored wires running to it. "Updates," she says, noticing you looking where her arm usually is. "Nothing to worry yourself with." Of course. Who's gonna understand better than me, right? "Sit," says Rabia, gesturing to the 2 diminutive stools. You both settle on the stools, Rabia crossing her legs on top and sitting straight-backed. "Gia told me you've been doing the rounds, collecting tithes, patrolling the ward." She smiles. "Some of the enforcers are impressed, and I hear you handled a few difficult circumstances. Nicely done." "Well, I wanted to see for myself." She raises an eyebrow. "See what for yourself?" If I say if the stories are true, she's going to want to press on what I mean by stories, and I don't actually have an answer for that, so this feels very judgmental and possibly, get into trouble judgmental. And this doesn't... I'm going to say if the stories are true. "I see." Rabia flexes her neck side to side. "And the conclusion?" "Still deciding." "Well, Sleeper," Rabia says teasingly, "please keep us updated on any progress." She smiles a thin smile. "Joking aside, I know that for you, life on the Eye has been a struggle. But I hope we can do something about that from here onwards. Though some of our members may not see it this way, I know you too are a refugee." She looks at you solemnly. "And that is why you have come to us." "Enough, Rabia." Sabine's voice cuts through the conversation. "I am tired of listening to your affected nobility." They cross the room, Rabia's baton in their hand, the end lit with sparking electricity. Rabia looks between the 2 of you. "I suppose this ambush was another cooperation between you 2. She seems strangely unfazed. "I'm not gonna say anything. I wanna back Sabine in whatever way I can here, but I'm not really sure what's gonna happen, Sabine pauses, thrown off by your silence. "Ah, shit." Rabia takes this opportunity to act. She leaps from the stool and, fainting past Sabine, grabs the baton and twists it inward. She is by far the stronger, and she pushes Sabine to her knees, plunging the crackling end of the baton toward their chest. They freeze there, Sabine struggling to keep the crackling baton from their skin. No, this I intervened. Stop, hey. "Then you support them?" Rabia asks you, her eyes not leaving Sabine. "Your loyalties are so easily swayed." "No, this is where my loyalties have been the whole time." "I thought you were more than Yannick's attack dog, Rabia," Sabine spits back. "Are you not able to think for yourself?" Rabia holds the baton strong, and for a moment you think she is about to hammer it down into Sabine's chest. But After a painful wait, she throws Sabine down instead, then spins the baton in her hand, thumbing a switch and shutting it off in a single move. So now what? They both look at you, each still catching their breath, as if they had forgotten about your presence. Yeah, I'm not really the most important thing in the room for either of them at the moment. Rabia cracks her neck. You are lucky I didn't kill you. I would have had every right, she shouts, the anger a release of tension more than a threat. Sabine lifts themselves a little, bruised from the fall, and they roll onto their side and cough. Rabia gives them some space, sitting back on the stool. Sabine props himself up on their elbows and fixes Rabia with a hard stare. You have something to say? Rabia taunts. Say it. This is your final opportunity. Because after this, no coming back. What's the point? Sabine breathes heavily. She does not listen to criticism of the great Yet Again project. Rabia collects herself. Speak. She folds her arms and waits to be convinced. Sabine takes a breath, organizing their thoughts. They go to start, then pause, and then decide on another approach. And eventually they say it. Yannick is a traitor. Rabia immediately flinches, her eyes going to her prosthetic arm, her muscles clenching. But she rides it out, more eager to prove Sabine wrong than she is to hurt them. At least, for now. When I came here from SNARP, they glance at you, gauging your reaction. It was Yannick who was one of the first to support me, to look after me. I should have known then, but I was naive and afraid. Sabine turns to you. Sleeper. I know that I should have told you I worked for SNARP long ago, but I thought you would abandon me. And you are my final friend. And what you should know is that I left SNARP because I was running for my life. I leaked documents on the Sleeper program, on the illegal and immoral practices it relied on, to the press. I do think it's really strange. And I guess this is reflecting some bias on the part of the author that maybe they're not fully aware of. And they're not aware that this is maybe like a weird way to feel about it. But like, it's super strange how everyone here assumes that because Sabine used to work for SNARP and now doesn't, I'm going to treat her as though she still works for SNARP, when in fact, what now doesn't means is more than likely something like this, right? The fact that she used to work for them, it means she is more likely to be at odds with them than someone who never works there. But everyone in the game world is treating that like it's not something that we would think of. Which is very strange. SNARP wanted me dead, and I fled as far as I could to this refuge at the edge of the surrogate systems. Sabine stops to collect themselves. And what does this have to do with Yannick? Rabia interrupts. The Sleeper knows you're SNARP. I told them. And while you hide beneath the cover of being a whistleblower, you and I both know you worked on the Sleeper program. Yannick told me as much. Sabine's face falls. It's true. They glance at you and then away, ashamed. Again, not only not a problem, but like, I kind of figured, like, this had to be the case. You know so much about Sleepers. You had access to Stabilizer. Like, they lift their head. But it is Yannick, not me, who is in the pocket of SNARP. Rabia flinches again. And I can prove it. He made some kind of deal to keep me here, to tie me up in debt, to lock me away. In exchange, Rabia slams her hand on the desk. Oh, just tell us, for God's sake. And I have to admit, although generally I'm on Sabine's side, I really fully identify with this. There is definitely this is a trait that a lot of the game's writing has. It is just so wordy, and there's so much like restating of things that are obviously already known, and so many extra words. It's particularly obvious if you're reading it, I think, because if speaking it aloud, I mean, because if you were just reading it in your head, you would probably glide over the constant dialogue interruptions, the fact that there is a character can never say like 3 sentences in a row without there being a break and a narration of something that they're doing and then back into the dialogue. But when you're speaking it aloud and you're like moving in and out of the manner, it feels really disjointed. In exchange for those, Sabine finishes, nodding toward Rabia's prosthetic arm in its cradle. He has been using Yatagan enforcers, using you as test subjects for SNARP technology, and I have the data to prove it. He has been bringing them in under the guise of stolen shipments and having me fit them, knowing each one is capturing data and sending it back to its makers. Rabia's fixed expression has started to fade. Sabine produces a slate. And it's all here. Thousands of hours of usage data, failure rates, error dumps. These are untested implants, Rabia. They could short out, fail, cause cascading failures across a person's body. And they have. Sabine suddenly looks incredibly tired. I thought the error rate in the units was down to them being stolen or modified. I've tried to fix hundreds of failures in my time here. Not all of them... They stop, unable to continue. Rabia closes her eyes and breathes in. Then she opens them again. She holds out a hand to Sabine. Show me, she says. Later, much later, when you leave, Sabine is still taking Rabia through the manifests and usage data. Both of them crowded around the terminal as Sabine takes Rabia through each layer of Yennik's betrayal. As you leave, Sabine catches your eye, and something passes between you. Something like a thank you or a sorry or some other expression that communicates both sadness and hope. Okay, well that's good news. So 3 days on that as well. I mean, if Sabine and Rabia end up on the same side of this, I would honestly feel comfortable leaving it there. I don't know that we need to be 100% engaged in that plot at that point. And we can sort of assume that, our character would continue to lend assistance to them. I guess we could go look for spores? Because tomorrow the mushroom crop's going to be finished and we're going to want to start a new one. Yeah, okay. So 3 scrap components gets us to here, and then we lose the block and we still only have 4 dice. So yeah, okay. I have so many upgrade points at this moment, and not really anything to do with them. Also, good dice, hooray. So let's go harvesting. Come on, club heads. Okay, we got 1. And then just Matsutake. Well, we can sell those at least. Oh, right, we do get 1 more die here. Nope, no club heads. That is a real shame. So we zoom out and come back in. It'll accept more spores. Pretty good odds, though, that in the next yield we will end up with enough to generate another stabilizer. And I guess we just look for more spores, right? We're just like waiting for clocks to complete. Okay. Back to bed, use a component to keep us at 4 dice, and... This is kind of like... We're seeing the beginning of our character's new routine, right? This is how they are going to be for a significant portion of their life here. So let's go ahead and throw 6 at this, so we have enough spores to continue the process, and we don't have to worry about that anymore. And we're still a day off on all of the clocks, right? So what do we do in the interim? Well... There's nothing really to do at the shipyard. We can buy scrap from this freighter, I suppose. Put ourselves in a position to actually have 5 dice again. Actually, does this even do that? So we're going to have 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, yes, it would. If we... Oh, we got a ship mind piece. Of course we did. Shit. because I'm never allowed to go back to 5 dice under any circumstances. So, engineering work then? If we just do some engineering work, we might pull a 5th piece of scrap. I kind of forgot we could even get shipline components. At the Havenage office, we can sell that, right? I am curious how much it sells for. Did we do this already? I don't think so. 30? Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So building them is like a lot more profitable, which is how it should be. So there's no engineering work available here. Oh, you know what? There was that. There's also a clock running up here, but that's got even more time on it, right? Oh, that actually pops tomorrow. So everything is always tomorrow. Well. So I sure would like another scrap, because it would be, like, fucking really cool to have, I mean, we may as well. It would be really cool to have 5 dice for whatever's going to go on tomorrow, because it's going to be a big deal, it seems like. This isn't there's no engineering work available here. There's no engineering work available here. Caster's table is blank. Yeah, what I really need is anywhere to spend a die on something that counts as engineering. On the dispensary, all we can do is just buy stabilizer. I could just stay. You know what? We'll just take the stabilizer. It's fine. It's not optimally efficient, but it's fine. So then, what do I want to do with all these dice? Help farming, I suppose. Just like help out the people. Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we'll go work the stacks. We'll do good work for our friends here in the commune, and then I'll spend these 2 dice on work assignment. Sort of like modeling our character's new life, but this also gets us back to full energy, which is useful. And that's not what I wanted. I wanted this one. Okay, we'll just pop a stabilizer. It's fine. And now we'll be at 5 dice for a really long time. Just jam some machine components into ourselves, and I don't even know how we're doing that. Okay, let's go check our many, many clocks. Sleeper, long time. Moritz is smiling at you when you leave, clearly happy to see you again. And I'm gonna say I'm happy to see him too. Ah, same. He rubs his hands on his jacket. How you been? Pretty well, honestly. I'm gonna say really well. We've figured out some direction. We're helping people. It's good. It's good to have a place to be. Yeah, good to hear it. He looks you up and down. I knew you'd make it work. You are a smart one. He glances around. Hey, look, I'm not down here to chat, though. I know Bliss said she didn't want to take any more big jobs, but she's changed her mind or something. He grins. 'Cause now we have someone looking for a refit of their ship in our bay. You would not believe it. They want their entire ship disarmed. Cutting out defense arrays, weapon lockers, ship-to-ship countermeasures. The whole lot. He leans in. Yeah, we'll be able to start an arms dealership with all the hardware we'll have up there when we're done. He laughs. Anyway, it's a massive job and we need some hands. Bliss said go get you. So come on up. Bliss is waiting on you to accept the job. He pauses. It'll be good to have you up there again. Like old times. I mean, it was like a couple days ago, my dude. You don't have to... I mean, it's fine. We'll go look, but... Let's go look at this. I'm not going to spend any dice on it, but let's go have a look. Interesting that there's 2 different nodes. Ah. A way on board. The sidereal is being loaded and prepped. Among all the commotion, is it possible to find a way on board? Because they moved the whole... Okay. Alright, that's very interesting. When you enter the bay, it is weirdly quiet. Moritz must be out on some errand. Maybe Bliss is prepping the kit? Sleeper. Ankita is drifting at one side of the bay. You missed her completely when you came in, which is wild because she's huge, but I guess she's not wearing her armor. This is... okay, this makes a lot of sense, actually. The idea of not seeing Ankita when you enter a room would have seemed unlikely to you several cycles ago, but seeing her without her armor, she seems smaller, less imposing. She seems that because that's the case. How do I feel about this? I mean, I told her... we said some harsh words to her last time, and I think they were probably deserved, but I'm going to stay neutral. I feel like finally got rid of the armor is neutral. Let's see what she has to say first. She ignores your remark. It was intended as an earnest question. So, what is this? She asks. You come to avenge Ashton or his sleeper? Or just looking for another payout? Her anger is familiar, but quieter than before. Restrained. Look, I don't want to fight. That's not really my thing. Then why are you here? She looks away, and you can tell her anger isn't directed at you in particular. It radiates off her like fire. You better be ready to sign, comes a shout from the bay entrance. Because I've got my best repair tech coming up here especially, and they are going to... Bliss glides in and suddenly stops herself when she sees you and Ankita standing off. Oh, Sleeper, you're already here. Miss Cassetta, this is the tech I was telling you about. Best on the hub. Do you two know each other, or... You and Ankita look at each other. Yeah, we work together. Like, I don't necessarily... If we were meeting her under totally neutral circumstances, I think there's like a real question about whether or not we maintain some of that, some of the anger from earlier. But knowing that she is intentionally trying to disarm, seeing her here without her armor, I feel like she's made some sort of large internal change, and I want to give her space to, like, what I want more than anything is to hear in her words where she's at and what's going on here. So I'm just going to tell the truth. We worked together, a really neutral truth. Bliss squints at you both before continuing. Bliss produces a slate. Now, Miss Cassetta, if you'd like to sign our damage waiver here, we can start on the decommissioning. She looks at you. My tech here is eager to get started, as am I. Ankita scrawls her signature across the slate. Thank you. Bliss pauses. And everything is okay with the special payment terms we discussed? She gives Ankita a strange smile. All fine, Ankita says, giving you another hard look. Then she kicks off and drifts to the entrance. I'll be in the gimbal, she says, and leaves. Special payment terms. She looks over her glasses at you. Yeah, look, Sleeper, there's something I have to tell you. She glances around again. What is she so nervous about? This isn't exactly a typical job. Miss Ankita, she gives you a knowing look. Well, she doesn't have the chits to pay us, so we've made a special agreement. She sighs. I'm leaving. You're joining a mercenary crew? Seems like this is clearly not Ankita's business anymore, though, right? I'm just gonna say leaving. Oh, keep it down. I haven't told Moritz yet. She looks down. I'm just waiting to break it to him. And don't you tell him either. She stares hard at you. I'll tell him when I'm ready, and I don't want him getting ready or worried about Ankita's history. He can be very protective. You should tell him. Look, all I care is that she's headed for the Starward Belt. She looks out of the bay. And that's where I'm headed. She turns back to you. Also, I wanted to ask... She stops, unsure. If you'd like to come with us. Oh. You know, that's interesting. My very first thought about leaving the station was that we would leave with Ankita, right? That we would ingratiate ourselves, we'd be her mechanic, and we would leave with her. And Obviously, that got a lot more complicated. I'm trying to think, like, we saw an ending that I think I'm taking as representative mostly in like a big shift in our character. It was the end of a chapter of our deal. We decided to stay with our people and do for them what we can. And I'm wondering if maybe this makes the most sense. Like, we can help in the commune. We absolutely can. And Rico, is concerned and says that the commune needs new blood, but like, I don't feel like I'm doing anything particularly vital. I guess that's kind of the point of a commune, right? Is that everybody is important. But I don't know. Like, Bliss and Ankita and us and me is definitely really interesting. Bliss and Ankita are both people that we have had to help, that we formed some kind of relationship with. And like, if Ankita wants to change, I feel like having us with her, like that's us placing a lot of trust in her and her placing a lot of trust in us. And it's not necessarily the kind of thing that our character would have been up for initially, back in the old -1 engage days. But like, we've decided to be less suspicious, give people more of a chance with Bliss and with Feng, and we would be more necessary on this ship than we would be. I'm trying to keep the fact that I like space adventure out of it, like really consider it more from the character's point of view. I do like space adventure though. I think I would. I think, like, we've made it so we can stay here. But that doesn't mean we have to. And maybe, given the choice, we would like to keep moving. We have so many threads to manage. I'm going to say I would. I think that integrating ourselves into a crew, making ourselves part of a team where we are necessary and where we have a bigger part to play. The commune also needs us, but it needs us in a much more difficult to quantify way, right? I'm going to say I would. This is not a commitment that this is actually what's going to happen, because there's still the matter of working it out with Ankita, right? She interrupts before you answer. I know things have been hard for you on the eye. You helped me so much. I asked Ankita if she'd carry 2 of us, and she said yes. Yeah, but she didn't know the other one was me. Moritz will take over the bay anyway. Although, if you stay, you're welcome to help him run it. I just thought... She sighs. You might be in need of a fresh start as much as I am. She turns away nervously. Think about it, anyway. The berth is there. We gotta finish the job first anyway. So she didn't hear what I said. That's fine, I guess. And with that, she kicks away and heads to the racks before you can offer an answer. Moments later, Moritz enters with a new cutting torch for the disarming of the ambergris. The starward belt. You push your thoughts to the back of your mind. It's time to get to work. Okay. But there's also the matter of, if we can figure out a way onto the sidereal, we could help Mina and Lem get onto the sidereal, and then we could go on the ambergris, or maybe we could all... I don't know. I thought we were done. I thought we were basically just wrapping up one loose thread. But it kind of seems like maybe there's a couple more like major decisions to make. There's no answer when you buzz Lem's unit, but the door is open. You push the door and find Mina sitting in the middle of the floor playing with Bun Bun. Hi, Mina. Hi, robot, says Mina sullenly, waving Bun Bun's paw without looking up. Where's your daddy? Mina doesn't respond. She walks Bun Bun across the floor, narrating quietly to herself. You look around the unit. It's a mess. Dishes and glasses on the side, some of Mina's clothes piled up in a corner. Mina is sitting by her bag, which is spilled out across the floor, her drawing slate cracked and dark. I mean, Mina seems bummed out, but not in distress. I'm gonna pick things up a little bit around here. You start with the kitchen units, piling up the dishes in the auto wash and wiping them down. You pile up the clothes next, folding them neatly. Mina watches you quietly as she plays, curious but silent. You've just started to look at fixing her cracked slate when Lem enters. Sleeper, what do you... He pauses and looks from you to Mina and back again. Never mind. He drops a bag by the door and slumps onto the couch. Everything okay there, friend? Lem lets out a weak laugh. You forgot the past few cycles now, too? Wish I was so lucky. He looks away at the open door. Look, now's not a good time. Dude, what happened? What happened? We messed up. That's what happened. We put our hopes in someone else's stupid scheme. He pinches the bridge of his nose. You understand they never even put us on the list, right? I've been all around the rim looking for work, and I've run into more than a few from the cruise. It turns out only longtime Havenage members were issued those Celis ID numbers. They never even planned to consider us. The Havenage say they didn't know that that was what they were going to use to make the draw, and who knows, maybe Celis pulled the wool over their eyes, but what does it matter? All those hours in the yards for a hand-to-mouth wage and nothing else. He slams his hand down on the sofa. These are both terrible responses. Why are these the two things we can say? Well, this is almost a non sequitur, so I guess we'll say that can't be it. Well, it is. He looks at the open door again. And they're moving the sidereal up the hub now, you know, he says without meeting your eye. And that's where it'll depart from. They're bringing in a ship with all their cryo-sleep pioneers and transferring them up there in microgravity before loading the crew. Yeah. We could probably sneak aboard. You think they're just going to let people on board? The security they'll have, it has to be impossible. He looks over at Mina. Look, we'll be fine. We always have been. I need a little time. He sighs. We had our hearts set on that trip is all. Mina comes over and climbs into his lap, and he smiles. Okay, but what if I got you on board? Yeah, I missed you these past few cycles. I missed that optimism. Lem strokes Mina's hair. Look, you want to go up to the hub and ask around? Be my guest. I can't get up there with Mina down here, and I'm sure the sidereal will bring in a crowd. But just be careful. This kind of thing always attracts scammers and thieves. If you find any way on board, you take it. You need help to get there, ask me. But for now, me and Meanie here are sticking on the eye. She looks up at him and smiles. Do I want to promise? I'm going to promise. But the thing is, I don't want to say this and then not go with them. That's my only concern. Look, I'll find a way, for us all. Lem smiles and doesn't say anything. You stand to leave and Mina grabs your hand, eager to give you one more smile. She is absolutely adorable. Then you're out, back in the walkways of the low end, already thinking of plans to make this right. Okay, and what about this? Like I said, things got so complicated. As you enter Rabia's office, you hear voices. Is that Sabine? You push open the door. Sleeper, what good timing. Rabia calls out as you enter. I wanted to introduce you to someone. This is bad. The man is standing at the center of the room, speaking quietly with Rabia. He turns as you come in. Meet Yannick. Sleeper, he nods. Been hearing good things from Rabi. He smiles an easy smile. Yeah, good to meet you. Likewise, likewise. He waves a ringed hand. Now, Rabi, where were we? Actually, Rabia places a hand on your shoulder. The sleeper was what I wanted to talk to you about. She doesn't spare you a look. What is going on? Well, okay then. Yannick tucks his hands into his pockets. Go on. I'd like to recommend them to your ward. A tiny pause. They've shown themselves to be a capable ally here on the spoke side, but we have more than enough to run our territories. I hear the main block is proving more difficult. Yannick leans forward slowly. Huh, it's a mess, Rabbi. He waits, his tinted glasses shimmering despite the lack of light in the unit. All right, I could use them, he suddenly decides. Rabia smiles. Good to hear. I can immediately... Yannick cuts her off with a raised hand. 1 second. He steps one surprisingly light step closer to you. You eager to work, Sleeper? What kind of work? A question. Yannick lowers his head and raises it again, as if he dropped something. Nothing new for you, he answers, not quite looking at you. You don't follow. What is he saying? That concludes it, Yannick pronounces. Sleeper can come work in the ward, anytime they like. You shoot Rabia a confused look. Rabia finally glances at you for a moment, but it's so fast you almost miss it. Good. I know you'll be happy with their work, Yan. Yannick reaches out and squeezes her shoulder. Sure, Rabbi, he says. Now, please, let us old friends get back to it. He guides Rabia away, leaving you standing alone. You look to Rabia, but she is deep in conversation, and so, stunned and confused, you leave. I'm not sure I understand... Does he mean just like patrol work? Or yeah, I guess so. The massive block at the center of the low end is made up of layers and layers of units. Patrolling this vertical city is a challenge. Yannick is a strange character, but he seems to understand the value of hard work. You'll gain his trust with time. That said, this is an engaged thing, and it is dangerous. And I do have a more pressing concern. So, the number one most pressing thing. Let's go to the gimbal and talk to... oh, she said she'd be here, but she doesn't seem to be. I'm going to buy a meal and see if maybe that provokes a conversation with her. No, it doesn't. 18 cryo for 3 energy is fine, I guess. It's not as good as the mushrooms. Yeah, let's scout the dock here. We got to figure this out. The sidereal is being loaded and prepped. Among all the commotion, is it possible to find a way on board? Well, this 6 and this 5 suggest that yes, perhaps it is. You watch the loading crews going back and forth, noting their paths and entryways. Could this work? I think there might be something to it. You know what, actually, let me, we have 1 billion points, and Intuit is definitely one of the skills we were pushing up anyway. Let's go ahead and confirm that +2, and we'll just nail this, this 4. No sense taking a chance. So what have we got? Quite the achievement, isn't she? Sandra Celis must be proud. You recognize the resonating voice of Castor immediately, and turn to see him, hooded and tucked into the shadows near the viewing platform. Castor? I see you remember our game. Good. He looks around, but the platform is clear. I'm afraid you'll have to wait for a rematch. Microgravity makes Tavla a little difficult. He smiles broadly. Castor walks out to stand beside you on the platform. The telltale clunk of magnetic boots accompanies his slow crossing. He notices you looking at them. I don't much like it up here, he explains. I hear there was some trouble at the Havenage shipyard when they announced the results of the crew lottery. Yeah, they screwed us. I know. He sighs, meeting your eye. An ugly business. Celis are too used to the way things work in the core. Exploitation is the only logic they know. He gestures out at the sidereal. You know why they built this monstrosity on the eye? Control, I assume? Certainly, there's no corporate oversight out here. But that's not all. He stares at the pristine yellow hull. Celis built it here, says Castor gravely, because they didn't want anyone to know it exists. He rubs his forehead. And secrecy is something I cannot abide. He turns to face you. There are people being loaded onto that ship as we speak. Sleeping people loaded in cryosleep, like the person you were emulated from. There are hundreds of them, and Celis wants to send them out to a planet at the edge of the settled systems without anyone knowing where it is. But you, Sleeper, you can do something about that. You're like me. You deal with data. You can read it right out of the air. With someone like you on that ship, secrecy isn't a problem. You could ping back whatever I need whenever I need it, as long as you are on board. With you on the sidereal and some minor modifications, you will be my eyes and ears. I will keep track of Celis's grand project through you. In short, I can get you aboard, Sleeper, but I am going to need you to help me. Castor, who are you? I'm a concerned party. Someone who likes to know what's happening when it's happening, not afterwards. Yeah, well, it's not just me. Yeah, your friend Lem. That could be arranged. It's difficult, not impossible. The condition is, of course, that you go too. Castor clunks closer to the window, watching the tugs wheeling around the sidereal. It's a simple offer, and the only one that will get you on that ship. Please consider it. He turns back, silhouetted against the ship. But, to make it happen, I need your assistance, as I said. There is a Celis Foundation ship docked in the now-empty shipyard. I need the data from its servers. This will allow me to produce the IDs necessary for your transit. Castor looks over his glasses at you. Celis aren't stupid, though. Their ship is totally isolated from the station. You'll need to get on board if you want access to their air-walled servers. Once you have the data, you meet me at your friend's unit so we can give him the good news. He smiles. I noticed his importance to you. And the little one. So cute. You don't extract the data before the sidereal horizon leaves the hub, then I'll get the message. We have other options, but you are certainly my preferred one. But be sure when you act, Sleeper. Once you take the data from Celis, you'll set off a series of events that will likely be hard for you to untangle yourself from. Either way, I recommend you stop asking around up here. You're bringing a lot of attention to yourself. Castor glances around as if to emphasize his point. There are only a handful of cycles until departure, Sleeper. Make your decision. And with that, Castor marches back off the platform, the sound of his mag boots fading away, leaving you to contemplate the sidereal horizon and the part it may play in your future. Well, if this is what it takes to get Lem and Mina out of the eye, then this is what we do, right? Whatever else I had going on, whatever other thoughts I was thinking, we're taking care of them. That's what matters. So let's go have a look at it. We have to get on board this ship that's hanging outside the shipyard. So that's our first problem. So, let's see here. 3 fails, and they lock the whole thing down. But it only takes 6 notches of success, and we have access to... Ooh, wow. Failing a bluff past security would be really bad. Okay, so obviously we're going to want to reroll these dice. Okay. I mean, this doesn't leave any room for negative outcomes, at least. I guess let's find out what the neutral is. Careful observation and an instinct for security procedures will help you understand how to sneak on board. We do know a thing or two. Okay, so it's just 1 bar on a neutral. That's fine. Okay, that's half of it. Here, we're just going to go back to our empty container and take a nap here because we're very focused on this task, right? I was a little bit adrift with the ambergris thing. I was like really, really uncertain how I wanted to pursue, but now we have direction. We have something we must do. And we also have a 6 with which to bluff our way past security. Fastest way to know the ship, or to get to know the ship, is pretending to work there. A plan so bold it might even work. And this is only possible due to our character development over the course of the game, so I'm very pleased with this being the way that we figured it out. Alright, you're in. Maybe, if you do this right, you might be able to pull something more than just IDs. Yeah, because you know what I need is money. Let's go ahead and throw the 5 in here. You find the data, but sitting right beside it is a cache of cryo. You take both. It's too easy. I like like the smiley face. I think this is what we're seeing here is just a shadow cast by the rim of this thing and the dots, but like it is very cute. Oh, Castor's back down here. When you arrive at Lemon Mina's unit, Castor's already waiting outside. I guess he did tell me this would be the deal. Forgive me, Sleeper, but Celis is already buzzing with news of the breach. I was expecting you. You know, I don't love you tracking me, but I'm not going to say that because the deal we're setting up here is that he's going to be tracking me for decades, right? So, all right, will this work? Well, don't worry, the breach cannot be traced to the specific IDs I'm about to create. Castor reaches into a pocket and produces a sleek green and white hand terminal. The data, please. What is that? Something I acquired from Celis while you were busy on that ship. Castor pushes up his glasses. You know, I haven't been waiting for you the entire time. You hand over a drive with the data, and Castor fishes around for a converter cable to hook it up. He slots it into the terminal, and after some whirring, a set of 2 transparent films, marked with numeric sequences, are produced. 2 tickets to an uncertain future. Castor smiles to himself. And the child will go with Lem, of course. He pockets them. These are yours, but first, he holds out a white cube. Your side of the deal. Yeah, what is that? Something to help us make use of you. He passes you the square and you rest it in your palm. A small, white, perfect cube. Suddenly you feel a sharp pain and flinch. The cube jumps from your hand and rattles along the walkway. You look at Castor apologetically. Castor smiles. Not to worry. It's done its job. Now it is for you to do yours. You look down and see a tiny pinprick in the center of your palm. Nothing sinister. Castor puts the terminal away. This way we can keep track of you and the sidereal horizon. I did agree to this, so yeah, whatever you need to do. Excellent. Castor hands you the transparent films, and you see shimmering portraits of you and Lem flickering beneath the surface. Go, give him the good news. And he reaches across and buzzes the unit. We don't have any particular reason to think we can trust Castor. I'm a little nervous about this whole thing. It is the only option we were presented, though. Lem slides the door open, half dressed in his gear. Sleeper, what brings you up here? Hey, come in, come in. He beckons you inside. You look to the side, expecting to see Castor, but the wall's empty. He 100% Batmaned us. The unit is cleaner, better organized than last time. Lem sits at the thin bar and gestures for you to sit. Mina's with some of the local kids. Someone started doing lessons down the way. She seems to like it. Yeah, I'm not gonna be here for very long. What's up, Sleeper? The thing is, I have some news. Why would I play for time? Play for what time? Like for Mina to come home? I'm just gonna tell him I have some news. What would I be expecting to happen? This is so weird. Out with it then, Lem laughs. Okay, look, I have Celis IDs for us. You have... Lem freezes. How? He blinks rapidly, as if to wipe you from his vision. Does that mean... Yeah, we're leaving. Lem stands up and paces around the unit. We have to pack. He starts laughing. Holy shit, we have to pack. Okay, how the hell did you swing this, Sleeper? A friend helped. He's gonna be more worried if I say I made a deal. It is truer, though. I don't know that Castor is a friend. Castor is a person with whom I made a deal. What a deal. Color me impressed. You show him the ID films, and he whistles at the portraits. That is impressive stuff. He pats you on the shoulder. You should stay until Mina gets home. We can tell her together. Sure, yeah, okay. I'm so worried. Like, this is not the first time in this conversation that the concept of waiting and time has come up, and I'm so nervous that, like, Celis is gonna track me, or... No, I wanna be here when he tells Mina. I wanna be here when he tells Mina. The buzzer goes. That'll be her. Lem gets up and opens the door, and Mina, a bundle of energy and life, rushes into the room. Robot! She shouts. Lem picks her up. Mina, you won't believe what they brought us. You flash her the passes, and she looks confused. We're going away after all, Meanie. He lifts her up above his head, I assume, on that big, beautiful ship. There are a lot of little typos in this game. Mina screams, and Lem laughs. He puts Mina down, and she runs over to you and hugs your legs. I love you, robot, she says quietly, so only you can hear. Okay, well, shit, I guess I would have gone with you anyway. I love you too. And a while later, when you leave, you don't even think to check for Castor by the door until it's too late. You stop and turn halfway down the walkway, but there's nothing there. Even that little white cube is gone. So you keep walking, back through the low end, deep in thought, excited and scared all at once. Is this gonna work? Is this gonna work, though? 7 days. You will either be on board or not. Okay. And Ankita's still not in the Spacer Lounge. I guess let's go do some work. Ankita wants it all out. Weapons, countermeasures, torpedoes. It would be a risky job if you didn't know Amber so well. Once this job's ready, you better be ready to make a fast decision. Stay with Moritz or go with Ankita and Bliss. I can't go with Ankita and Bliss. I still want to. I still want to be our tough crew of awesome space ladies. I think that sounds wonderful. But obviously we can't. I am going to help with this, though, because I'm going to show Ankita that, you know, I haven't given up on her, I guess. Turns out we could do this real fast. I'm very good at working on this ship. And then I guess we go back to the commune, take a rest, and then... Whew. I am going to be sorry to just disappear on Rico. That is a bummer. But we have a thing to do here, and it's of critical import. How are we going to get stabilizer on the ship? This is a question. A question that makes making sure we grab mushrooms, fairly important. Let's go spend a single 4 completing the work on the ambergris. We'll check the gimbal again and see if Ankita is indeed available to us. She is not. So we'll just go ahead and knock this out. Amber looks better than she ever has before. Bliss has done an incredible job of cleaning up the hull, and despite the exterior changes being limited, she has the impression of being lighter, somehow sleeker than before. Moritz drifts by. He's been loading up the final equipment onto Amber. It turns out Ankita will be taking her weapons, but packed and ready to sell at the first Starward Beltport she hits. Yeah, that makes sense. But now that Moritz is done, he seems in kind of a daze, floating back and forth aimlessly. Hey, you okay there? What's that? He turns. Oh, right, yeah, packed and stacked. He smiles a weak smile. I was hoping Miss Cassetta would let me keep a warhead. For what? He shrugs. I don't know, just might be a cool thing to have around. Hey, Sleeper. He looks down. Did you know Bliss was leaving? You understand now. She told him. That's why he's like this. Yeah, I did. I'm not going to lie to him. I don't know if we're any good at lying. He nods distractedly. She said the place is mine. He looks up around the bay like it is suddenly some vast space he doesn't know what to do with. Yeah, and you're going to do a great job with it. He looks down at you. Hey, thanks. He smiles. I appreciate you saying that. You know, not many people believed in me before now. First Bliss, now you. A dark look suddenly crosses his face. Hey, Sleeper, there was something Bliss said. He meets your eye. Are you going too? Before you can answer, Ankita glides into the bay, a massive crate on her shoulder. Sleeper, you coming or what? Bliss is already on board. She stops by the terminal, holding herself in place. Moritz looks at her with a dazed expression. You look at Ankita. She's keeping it together now. She's packed all those bad feelings down someplace where you'll never see them and built a tough foundation on top. She may not be a mercenary anymore, but you think most people would think twice before trying to cross her. Well, she looks at you. I'm not eager to spend another moment of my time on this station unless I have to. She pauses, looking between you and Moritz. She sighs. I'll give you a minute, and she kicks off with the crate, taking it to the end of the bay where the amber sits docked. You look back at Moritz. Yeah, I'm not going with them. Moritz looks like he might pass out. Sleeper? Are you sure? Are you doing this for me? I wish I could not say I'm staying, because I'm not going with them, but I am leaving. No, I'm staying for me. There's something else I gotta do. Moritz nods. All right, then. You're staying. I feel really bad, because, I do plan to leave. And he's so happy that I'm... all right. Ankita comes back across the bay, the final crate stowed. You staying, then, Sleeper? Yeah, that's right. She nods. Well, okay, then. One less mouth to feed. She pauses. Look, Sleeper, I'm not going to go back over everything that happened. She sighs. I'm trying to put that behind me, but I hope you find what you're looking for here. She smiles and kicks off, gliding to the ambergris and the starward belt beyond. You both watch in silence as Amber's drives fire up. I guess this is our place now, says Moritz, the weight of everything suddenly hitting him. Well, it's your place. He smiles. Okay, but I'll need some help from time to time. You both stay for a while to watch Amber and Bliss and Ankita leave, and then Moritz goes to the racks to finally implement a new organizational system, and you head out, promising to be back to check on things soon. As you glide around the soft curve of the hub, you catch glimpses of the distant stars flickering through the windows. They're beautiful, it's true, but by now you think of them as a distraction. In your time on the Eye, you've realized there's nothing out there waiting for you. No fresh starts, no bright futures, just a whole load of problems you haven't found yet. Now, your place is here, among the people you know and the problems you know. You wish Ankita and Bliss the best of luck out in the belt, but as you do, you focus on the vast spinning rib that rotates around the hub, on its buildings and flashing lights, on its people and places. This is your home, and for now, it contains all the futures you need. I mean, but no, not really, though. And then they're going to credit us again. That's a pretty awkward, because, I guess, how would you design the game to know, right? But all of that ending text was completely inappropriate to us, because, again, the reason we're staying is so that we can leave in a different way. Because I have decided that there's nothing more important to me than the safety of Lem and Mina. Everybody else that we've dealt with, I trust to be able to handle themselves to some extent. But, raising a kid, nobody should have to do that alone. I wonder how much of this is reflecting the fact that my mom had to raise us alone. I saw how hard that was, and yeah. Anyway, next round's yours. Moritz arrives at the table with a couple of steel drinks canisters, typical to the hub's only bar, the Gimbal Lounge. He settles into the webbing beside the table and clunks them down onto the magnetic table. This place, you have decided, is ridiculous. A rapidly spinning, cavernous sphere, the gimbal's weak gravity, just like the gravity at the eye's rim, is created by its gut-wrenching rotation. The interior surface of the sphere is the gimbal's floor, which descends toward the equator where one long bar loops around the entire sphere. Tumbling out from that central ring are an array of booths and seating arrangements, equipped with all kinds of harnesses and webbing to keep customers in place. Yeah, this doesn't exactly sound like a fun place to be. I mean, it's kind of cool. Those harnesses are there because Gimbal doesn't quite spin up fast enough, and you watch as the clientele bounce toward the bar in lazy arcs, or shift from table to table with graceful leaps. What are you thinking? Asks Moritz, noticing you staring out into the gimbal. Well, I'm gonna be honest, I was thinking about how weird this place is. Moritz glances around, as if for the first time. Yeah, Bliss never used to like coming here. Moritz takes a drink and stretches. So, Sleeper, you sticking around? I have things to take care of, unfortunately. Moritz nods. Yeah, thought you might. He rubs the back of his head. One cycle at a time, that's how we'll take it. Nice and easy. You aren't sure if he's talking to himself or to you. Yeah, we'll make it. He lifts his drink for a toast. To the next cycle, he pronounces and knocks it back. Later, when you finally leave the gimbal, Moritz is still laughing. You help him out of the spinning gimbal and back into the hub, sending him on his way back to the bay. Then you pause for a moment to watch the stars as they spin and spin around the eye. You smile to yourself and think of Bliss and Ankita out there somewhere, among those points of light. To the next cycle. I really wish I could have gone with them. That's the ending for my heart, personally. But Lemon Mina, right? Okay, we can just keep working if we want to. Just a place to burn dice. Yeah, I guess let's get back down here. Is there anything to do? I mean, we gotta gather mushrooms. There's the Yannick stuff. We can pursue the Yannick stuff if we want. Is there anything over here at the... No, okay. Alright. Yeah, I mean, let's go. So we do have this to do. I guess put the 4 in first. Having a real hard time catching a break here. Okay, we did get our club heads. And then we start the cycle over again. I don't know what our plan is for stabilizer on the sidereal horizon. I mean, I guess in theory, it's a generation ship, right? Like, it has to be able to produce stuff. Definitely seems dangerous, though. We'll go down to the lab. We may as well create some stabilizer. And then, I guess, spores? And I should probably go eat something. Didn't save a die, so we'll have to use money. We haven't talked to Emphis in a little while. We'll just, you know, stop by, tell a story, etc. And then I guess... let's use a component. So we still have 5 dice. Not that we necessarily need them. It's a tricky thing, trying to hang together like multiple endings that sort of have their own progress tracks and can occur independently of each other. I don't know, like structurally they put themselves in a real rough position here. Actually, I guess I don't need to do that. This could be a 4. Actually, it could even be... no, it has to be... yeah, it could be a 3. Because a 5 will still get us 1... like a neutral result is still 1 spore, and that's enough. And that way we have other dice for other things. Not that I think we actually have anything to do with the dice. I guess Yannick's deal, we can pursue that. Because I think like there's literally nothing for us to do with the sidereal plot at this point, right? Yep, I can't interact with Castor anymore. So yeah, I guess that's the move. I think I think we're going to stop here for today. I think that is where we're going to call it for now. There's probably one more episode here, unless there's some kind of big twist in the Sidereal Horizon plot. But we've figured out a way on, we've done the things we need to do, and now we just need to wait for the ship to actually launch. And when you come back next time, that's what we'll be doing, and we'll be trying to help out Sabine. If we can leave this, like, now that I'm no longer planning to stay, I guess there is a little bit more urgency on the Sabine and Rabia plot, just because I want to try to leave them in a good place, given that I won't be here to help anymore. So we'll be trying to wrap up our last little bits of loose ends before we head out to who knows where. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.